And we are live. Mm. Yes, sir. Give the world a few minutes to come in and join, or I guess we could just cut this off. What's up, fellas? Paul Von Tyrant, Christopher Morrow, John Kingery, John McDonough, all the way from London. What's up, fellas? How's everybody doing? My vacation was okay. I got a few. I got some, homeowner, at home projects finished. We didn't go anywhere, because of the pandemic, obviously. Um, so didn't really travel anywhere. My, you know, plans with my dad coming to town kind of blew up at the last minute, unfortunately. But did a lot of grilling and put my new patio furniture together, which took 8 hours, and did some relaxing and mm, yeah. So here we are. Park Kingery is working on some custom pedal knobs for one of his mad creations, by the looks of it. Christopher Morrow found out some info on a Yorkville amp. An oddball Yorkville amp. He had left me a comment down on one of my videos about oddball Yorkville amp that he came across, and I had no idea that Yorkville ever even made guitar amps. They're mostly a PA gear company. Make really really nice PA gear, but I didn't know they were making guitar amps. Ian Nunez is on his way to a Burmese wedding. Like for a Burmese couple, or like are you going to Burma for a wedding, or both? That's a long that's a long way away from Indianapolis. Oh well. I have my YouTube settings set to, to block out, or to hold comments that might be questionable. So meanwhile, this douchebag named White Claw Bear Akuda says, "Learn to play guitar, you bald-headed fuck, before you start comments on components. You can't play a dab worth of guitar, and I know you don't realize." Let's see here. Well, per the rules of this channel, White Bear, nope, White Claw Bear Akuda. Filter, we're looking for channels. Nope. Oh, now he says, "You are leading young guitarists astray. You suck playing the guitar, bro. You don't know what you're talking about." Whatever you say, dude. Whatever you say. Yep, whatever you say, dude. I've only been doing this for a living for 15 years. Let's see. The Yorkville amp. He only made it from 89 to 91. Mine turned out to be an early 90 model. Very, very rare. I got it for a steal. Due to the shop, had no idea what he had. Usually worth 5 times what I paid. Yorkville stuff's usually pretty expensive, man. I can't remember if you said if it was a tube amp or solid state or or anything. I just remember it was a Yorkville guitar amp. That's about all I remember. Hey, my buddy David Gabe's here. What's up, man? Hope you're feeling better. I saw you were under the weather here recently. Umberto Ilustrio Paranoias is here. Hobo Roadie, greetings from Talent, Oregon. I hope you. I don't know if that's Portland area or not. I certainly hope not. There's some very unfortunate things going on in Portland right now. Unfortunately. David, I'm going to forgive you that you called me Rob because I like you. But my favorite Zeppelin riff to play. Oh, man. Probably a whole lot of love. Probably a whole lot of love. Classic. One of the greatest rock songs ever. Brandon C. is here. Thank you very, very, very much, sir. Thank you for the kind words. Go share that info with White Claw Bear Akuda. YouTube took away my ability to click on people's profiles. I wanted to share a link to his to his page so you guys could all go trolling back if you wanted to, but it won't let me do it. He's probably gone by now anyway. That's TV Turd Burglar's secondary account. He's starting to become threatened by. I highly doubt Stevie T feels even the slightest bit threatened by me at all. So I don't, I don't know why he would. I mean, he's at 2 million subscribers, and I got 21,000. And even if our channels were a little bit closer in size as far as our audience, I don't have any ill will towards the guy at all. Never did. Robert, ever try the orange backspan guitar? Great as a pedal, even better as a preamp. Just plug it into the return of the effects loop. I have not actually. I've never ran across one. They're. I've heard. I know a lot of people use them. A lot of people use them, and they seem to. A lot of people seem to like them. But I've never had a chance to sit down and try one though. But orange gear is typically pretty solid. So, but as far as running, I for demo purposes and stuff, I kind of like running pedals into the return of the effects loop just to hear how they sound as a preamp. But I try to do that as a last resort, because distortion pedals are supposed to be ran through the front end of a clean channel, and if they don't sound good there, then you put them into the effects loop as a last resort, unless you're just using it as without an amplifier at all, like going direct into an interface or something. But So the whole world's is raging right now about running distortion pedals into the return of the effects loop, and I get it, but I try not to if I don't have to. If it doesn't sound good through the front end, then you know. Joey Van Ostrand is here. Michael L. Rakes is here. William De Silva. Mark Holt. Mark Holt says, hey, it's Guitar Max's twin brother, right? About time somebody started to notice the resemblance. I keep telling people that, but nobody wants to believe me. He and I actually communicated here earlier this week. So, communicated directly. Which is the first time that we've ever, ever had any direct communication. Super, super nice guy. Great guy. Great guy he is. Anybody named after White Claw has to suck. David Cape says, sorry, my phone sucks and shorten your name. Haters gonna hate, bug off, loser, White Claw, whatever. Yeah, I only put him in timeout so he may. Oh, actually, no. Here, yep, he did come back. See, there he is down there at the bottom. Welfare bum now, he says. Mm-hmm. Well, I happen to own the building that you see all these videos filmed in. But now you're gone. All right, sorry about that, fellas. I have no idea who that is. I don't recall that dude ever commenting on my channel before. But in the event, for future trolls, if you're going to comment and tell me something that I, and tell me something to the effect that I don't know jack squat, you might want to know how to spell jack squat when you tell me that. And SCWAT is not correct. As they say, fuck that guy. Michael Rake says, I had gotten some solid advice from you on what are good pedals, but had a question. Are the Joyo pedals worth a look or no? Absolutely. The ultimate overdrive based on OCD and analog course. Yeah, absolutely. I demoed kind of sort of demoed the ultimate drive on my channel a while back. It's as you mentioned, it's it's a shootout, or it's a clone of an OCD, and actually a really, really good clone. Those do sound really good. I shot it out against the version 3 and the version 4 OCD pedals that I have. It's been a while now, but a buddy of mine at work let me borrow it because he uses it. But yeah, no, I've been pretty impressed with just about every Joyo product that I have tried, and you guys know they sent me some stuff recently, so I've demoed a lot of them on my channel lately. Most recently, just finished up the demo on this amp head sitting here next to me that isn't quite on camera, so you guys can't see it, but and I don't want to let the cat out of the bag just yet anyway. So no, I've been pretty impressed with just about every piece of Joyo gear that I've got my hands on. Um, the analog chorus, if that's the one that I'm thinking of, I did. And somebody gave it to me. It didn't come direct from Joyo, but a buddy of mine gave it to me. Somebody gave me one of those, and the switch was bad on it from the get go. And I think he received it like that, and they just replaced it and sent him a new one, and he's a happy guy. But he gave it to me, and I'm not handy enough with a soldering iron or electronics or anything. I was able, to fix it myself. So my plan was to see what it would cost to get it fixed, and it was about the same that the new one would cost me. So, it kind of sat on the shelf, and then eventually it went to Josh at Share the Music, and he was able to repair it and give it to a good home. So. Brandon C. How can someone have so much free time? I wish I'd be shredding. Well, maybe he'll see my video that goes up tomorrow morning, and then he'll really get butthurt over that one. Joyo makes cheap, decent pedals. They do make cheap, decent pedals, but they're also starting. They've got some pedals that are up in the $90, $100. Some of them even over $100 range now. So, they're not just $30 and $40 clone pedals anymore like they used to be. They still have that stuff. They still got plenty of that stuff, but the new Revolution series pedals are phenomenal. Where is that thing? This guy, which you guys will see the video for this pedal here later this week, or middle of next week, I guess it would be. Yeah, this thing sounds killer, and I was real impressed with it. That one's under $50, but I was really impressed with it. And by the way, for those of you, I get asked about my opinion on that pedal a lot, and and my answer for the last couple of weeks is that my demo will be up here shortly, and I was telling people that it was going to be up last Wednesday, and I got confused about which video was going up. So if you were expecting that video to go up last Wednesday and you got the H2O video instead, my apologies because I got it mixed up. But it will be up Wednesday of this coming week. William Silva says I got a Joyo Tauren and really like it. That's there's 3 overdrives in that new series, and that's the one I don't have. 3 single overdrives anyway. I don't have the Tauren. I've got the Taichi and the Zip Amp, and I like both of those quite a bit. The Tauren's I want to get a hold of the Tauren. That's their clone. That's the clone of a clone thing. Don B. Well, first let's say hello to Bubba Fang. I haven't said hello to him yet, or I suppose it could be a she, a him, or her. I don't know. But Don B says, "Good day, Robert. Where would you put an EQ pedal in the signal chain, front of the amp, or in the effects loop? Always love your content, and have now been a subscriber for a year. Awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you very much for subscribing and for checking out my channel and enjoying the content, especially. I'm glad to hear that you've enjoyed it. EQ pedals are cool, man, because you can do so many different things with them. You can run them into the front. You can, into the front amp before the preamp section, you can run them in the front end after a distortion or an overdrive, and help shape the tone of that pedal or those pedals, should you need to do so. Um, now there's EQ pedals coming out that you can program multiple different settings into and cycle through them for various different uses. Um, like the Boss EQ 200 and the Source Audio programmable EQ can both do that. The other thing I've always liked to do, and the Boss GE7 is perfect for this, is run it into the effects loop as a clean boost. So if you're looking for a clean boost or a solo boost of some kind, run an EQ pedal into the effects loop. And again, you can run it before or after your reverbs and delays and stuff. Just kind of play around with it and see where you like it best. But that's the cool thing about EQ pedals, man. Is there's so many different things you can do to it, or you can do with it. I think Brian Wampler actually did a video here a year or two ago, specifically about EQ pedals, and there was like five things, 5 uses for an EQ pedal, and I think the specific premise of that video was 5 things you could do with an EQ pedal that you might not consider. Joey Van Ostrin says, if you talk to Max again, try to talk him into selling me that Metaltronics M1000 he has. Well, I imagine you're probably not the only one trying to unload that thing from him, because those amps are not cheap, and they're, they don't come up every day. But pardon me. Mark Holt says, have you looked into the Fox Gear pedals? I have not. At least I don't think I have. There's somebody that keeps popping up on my Facebook, people you might know thing every time you pull up Facebook. And there's every now and again, it's a personal account that is listed as a pedal company. I think that might be one of them. Fox Gear pedals. Nope, never seen these before. One called a Colt 45. Colt with a K, that is. A $99 three knob pedal called the Rats. Gee, I wonder what that's a clone of. The Rider, which is a Doug Aldrich signature, probably a distortion. And what looks like a multi-tune chromatic tuner or something. And at least those are the 4 that popped up at the top of their webpage. What else they got? The Muffin, obviously a Big Muff clone. The Sinister, no idea what that is. Echo 6 Baby. The Cream, which is a green 3-knob pedal. Makes me wonder if that's a Tube Screamer circuit. And something called the Knee Trembler. Yep, most of them looks like they're all between 100 and 150 bucks. At least that's what their stomach box is. And they got another one here with a looks like a newbie modulation box. That one looks like that does all kinds of crazy stuff. They look cool. They sure look cool. Did I see them all? Is that all of them? Oh no, they got more than that. Matris, the Manic, Chorus with a K and no H. Phoenix, F-E-N-I-X. Q-Boost, Futura, Echoes. Wow, yeah, they got a lot of pedals. Cool. No, thanks for turning me on to those. I have, I wasn't familiar with those before that. So yeah, I'll maybe reach out to them and see if they're interested in having me demo a pedal or two for you guys. I did just get word from another pedal company that they're sending me. He's got some stuff on the way to me that is definitely not what you guys are going to expect to see from me on this channel. But I'm really excited to check them out. Bubba Fang says he's a dude, folks. Wouldn't be anything wrong, you know, if you were of the if you were a member of the finer gender of our species. Tim L. Bartley's here. William De Silva, which I think I may have already said hello to William. GoobTuber's here. GoobTuber likes to try to be the first one to comment on my videos every time a new one goes up. Michael Rick says, what would be some of your favorite lesser-known amplifiers, something that you don't see or hear that much of? I noticed your Panama amps, and those piqued my interest. Oh, man. Panama stuff is cool, but unfortunately, I think they fell victim to the tariff wars that had gone down here in the stemming from the U.S. last year, and without getting into one side or the other of that whole debate, unfortunately, they took quite a beating from that. I don't think Panama is going to. Last I understood was it was highly unlikely that they were going to survive. So I still have all of my Panama amps. I've got 4 of them. But I do, some of those I like better than others. The Shaman and the Shaman 20 that I have, and the 5-watt. Those 2 were my favorites. I've got a couple. They came out with 3 different versions of a head called the Fuego, and those are cool too. But I like the Shaman and the 5-watt the best. As far as other amps, like lesser known stuff that you don't, oof, man. Peavey had an amp that came out about 10 years ago called the 3120 that I really liked. That one didn't seem to take off for them too well, and they discontinued it. Those things are dirt cheap on the used market now. I don't know. There's a lot of there's a lot of cool boutique amp companies that are coming out nowadays. There's a new company that I wasn't familiar with called Omega Amps. I think they are, and those amplifiers are absolutely beautiful, but I think they're also pretty pricey, and I haven't actually heard one. I am a member of a group on Facebook called Chug Life something. It's a gear group for metal players, basically is what it is. Chug Life something or other, I can't remember that, but a couple of those guys have gotten a couple of the Omega heads, and they look really awesome. Like I said, I haven't heard them yet, but they sure, if they got it, if they sound half as cool as they look, they got to be pretty good. So there's those. There is anything made by Mike Fortin, or designed by Mike Fortin, and that actually includes I include the Randall Diavolo heads in that category, and I do own one of those. Those are import line, but he designed them all from the ground up, and they sound killer. Let's see. God, I don't know. I'd have to put some serious thought into that. I mean, I can't think of a specific oddball, that most people don't know about that I would, that I just have to have at the moment. I'm really a traditionalist, when it comes to that kind of stuff. I like Marshalls, so I like Marshalls. I like Peaveys. I like stuff that a lot of people are familiar with. Joey Van Ostren says I have an Alesis MEQ 230. Left goes into 1 amps effects loop. Right is run into a nanoverb and split right and left. Right is an EVH LBX1. Those are cool heads. And left is a PV1 5150 combo. See, there's something else you can do with an EQ, although that's a rack mount EQ as opposed to a pedal. But Whoa. Oh, that one came out of nowhere. Josh Hayes says, "You ever heard of the Pete Cornish pedals? From the demos I've heard, they sound great, but are expensive. Seems like I've heard of them, but I don't. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know anything about them." Pete Cornish, UK company. Prices of all the grades here, yada yada yada. Battery-free pedals and cables, etc., etc. Click enter. History clients, deluxe series pedals. They all look the same. Like every one of them looks the same. Some got 3 knobs, some got 4, and a couple of them got 5. But SS2 and yada yada. These things ain't cheap. These things ain't cheap. They have a model called the BD1, which is a bass driver, so a bass overdrive pedal of some kind, which is 541 British pounds. So translated into US dollars, I believe that is up around the $650, $700 range for one of those things. He's proud of them. Let's see, where to go. Give me a minute here, folks. I'm just getting caught up. Pete Cornish pedals are famous for being custom made for certain guitarists. Always heard great things about them. Okay. Now that makes sense. Brandon C. says, "Robert, do you have any experience with horizontal guitar wall hangers? I have seen mixed reviews online about them damaging the neck. Just wondering if you have any knowledge on the subject." I've heard people complain about, regular, vertical hanging guitar wall hangers damaging the necks of guitars. I mean, I've had all of my guitars hanging on the wall for. God, I started doing it over a decade ago, and I've never had any issues. So, none whatsoever. Never had any problems. So, yeah, I mean, it's doing the vertical or the angled thing. It's cool for display purposes if you got the wall space. and I think you can get one of those hangers actually pretty cheap, but I really don't see how they would do too much damage to the neck because with those types of wall hangers, so much of the weight is supported on the body end, underneath the body, which is where you want it. So, sounds like a myth to me. Somebody's complaining about that ruining, warping the neck of their guitar. I'm going to assume there is an extenuating circumstance and some other details that they are not filling you in on. What's your most well-loved guitars? Mine was my Alvarez Dana Scoop. That in my current collection, my Majesty, Music Man Majesty, best guitar I've ever owned. Oh boy. I have a tough time picking beyond that one because it's my favorite. I have a tough time picking out a few of them. Just a few because it's like every one of them kind of has its own story and its own separate meaning, personal meaning to me. Amps come and go, pedals come and go, and I've got a ton of both of them. But it's the guitars that I really really get attached to, which is why I rarely sell them after I get them. I do sometimes, but for the most part, if I buy a guitar, it's pretty much mine for life. GoopTuber says, "Hey, Not a Troll volume is a little low." You're the first one that has mentioned that, so if other people start complaining about low volume, then I'll crank it up. Last time I did that, then it got too loud and started clipping. And right now, it's according to my mixer meter thing, it's right about where it supposedly should be anyway. Find My Collection has its own room, as does mine. I've actually got to figure some stuff out because I'm now to the point I've got 2 more guitars that I've got to hang up in there, and that do not have their own hooks yet. And I could probably push them closer together and make the room that I need, but I'm very very likely going to have to take some pictures and stuff down off the wall and hang another piece of slat wall. So, and then I'll have all kinds of room and an excuse to buy more guitars. Mark Holt says the trick to hiding new stuff is to buy everything the same color. Or start a YouTube channel and monetize it, and then you got your own separate income specifically for guitar gear. That's what I did. Better. Steve Davies is here. Welcome to you. Don B. And that's the latest newcomer that I see anyway. Newcomer today, that is. Dwight Bailey says, I ordered a S-drum pedal the other day. Didn't you say you use that for backing track stuff? Though he's not talking directly to me. I'm going to leave that alone. Let's go. Okay. That's cranked. I guess we got to go with that one. All right. Try that. You got to go back to using condenser mic for these things. I got to crank everything up all the way on a dynamic mic just so you guys can hear me, apparently. Michael Rick says Marshalls all the way from me as well. I have 3 different ones. Wouldn't trade any over the world. Actually, besides PV and a few cheap fenders, only amps I ever owned. I would love to have a JCM 800. I really want to get one of those new studio, the 20 watt JCM 800s. Really, I would use that amp a lot if I had it, but they are, Marshall unfortunately did those right, and they made them in the UK and all that stuff, so they're expensive. And I don't have $1,500 to drop on an amp head right now. I did just acquire a new, actually 2 new amps. One of them a company sent me, and the other one I actually bought for a really, really good price. Dwight Bailey says use a Beat Buddy drum pedal and also a Ditto looper pedal. Well, any looper pedal, but I agree on the Beat Buddy, or even the Beat Buddy Mini. But if you go with the full size Beat Buddy, then go with the Aeros looper if you're looking to do full backing tracks with guitars and drums and looping and all that kind of stuff. The Beat Buddy and the what was that? The Beat Buddy and the Aeros looper together are pretty awesome. Pretty awesome if you're into that stuff. Umberto, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. What is the technical term for guitar buying disorder? Technical term for guitar buying disorder is GAS. GAS, guitar acquisition syndrome. Or gear acquisition syndrome if you're buying pedals and amps and stuff. Yep. My way. I think the spouse of any guitar player knows what gas is. Okay, so now volume's fixed. Pardon me. I slept good last night, fellas. We got a new our old mattress was like sleeping on a gravel pit, and we just replaced it, and the new one was delivered yesterday, and it was our first night sleeping on it, and I slept real good. But apparently I also snored like crazy too, so. Guillaume Le Bayonne says, hey Robert, it's great to see you on live. Have you heard or tried the Boss Terra Echo? Yeah, actually it's a cool pedal. Those, what do they call those things? There's a series of pedals, and there's only like 3 or 4 of them in that line. There was the Boss Terra Echo, the... Yeah, there's a Terra Echo, and there was like an overdrive or something. It was like a reactive overdrive, and then there's one other one I can't remember. But they were all 3 of those pedals. They're the ones with the silver label behind that the knobs sit in front of. But all of those pedals, use a little bit different digital technology inside of them than the rest of their pedals, which is kind of why they're their own series. But they're cool, man. They sound good. They sound good. But I'm such a Boss fanboy, though. It's kind of tough to, get me to say anything bad about a Boss product. Just had a bunch of new Boss pedals show up this week, and one more on the way next week, actually. So Marshall is affordable compared to the Soldano SLO 30. Check the price on an SLO 100. Those are pricey. I mean, that's up there in diesel territory. $5,000 for an amplifier. Nope, don't have that kind of money. Michael Rakes says, only Marshall I sort of regret getting was the Mode 4 full stack. I love those amps. Cool head, and I like it. Like the cabs more, but I had the chance to buy a Zakk Wylde JCM 800 half stack for the same price. Live and learn. Between the Mode 4 and the Zakk Wylde, the Zakk Wylde JCM 800, I would have gone with the Zakk Wylde JCM 800, especially if it was a even trade. So, Mode 4s are out there. You can always find those again, but the Zakk Wylde heads are not. They do not come up very often. Anything with Zakk Wylde's name on it, man. Especially if it's, like old Gibson, like all the old Zakk Wylde Gibson and Marshall stuff. People are starting to hoard it now, and every time I do see one listed, they keep going up in value. So, Mark Holt's off to his second job. Have a good day or a night at work. I'm not sure what part of the world you're in. I assume you're in the U.S., but I don't know. So, I hope you have a great day at work, man. Blur, thank you very much for popping in and saying hey. Yeah, the 30 is $26.99. $26.99 for a freaking guitar amplifier. Well, actually, $26.99 is not unreasonable for a guitar amplifier, but when its big brother is $5,000, man, people pay it though. People pay it. I've got a good friend of mine that played. He was the guy that played out and played out around town every Friday and Saturday night for years. And he, for a long time, he used a Soldano SLO 100. People pay it. I don't want to, so I can't knock them for that if they're able to get that price tag for it. And the SLO 100's pretty legendary at this point. Umberto says, I am sure I have gasped my last guilty pleasures of vintage VX P6, mainly up the wall hanger, but I love it anyway. I don't know what that is. VX P6. You can grab a good amp and guitar for that price, and possibly a few pedals if you play your cards right. I think you could easily grab a great amp and guitar, and you buy pretty much a full rig, cables and everything. Deke 441 is here. Epic Esquire is here from the New York City area. Never been to New York, actually. I have never been to New York. My dad lived there for a little bit when he was a kid, and he told me from that experience over and over again. He said, you might want to go visit, but you'll never want to live there. And now he lives in Washington, D.C., and that's exactly how I feel about Washington. I love going to visit Washington. Love going to Washington because I'm a big history buff. Love Washington. No way in hell will I ever move out there. My employer is going to have to offer me a very significant promotion with a very significant salary for me to want to move to Washington. Some great old guitar shops. That is one thing. We used to have some pretty cool guitar shops here in the Indianapolis area, and there's still one or two of them left. Unfortunately, none of them are up here on my side of town. I guess Reno's is still around, but kind of a dying breed, man. Not too many of those left. Don B says I use a Boogie MV. I'm assuming that's a Mark V, and a Marshall Silver Jubilee. So I shouldn't really complain about price. If you're using a 100 watt, if you're using the 100 watt Jubilee and a Mark V, that's almost $5,000 worth of amplifiers right there. What do you think the Parker Fly guitars? I want to hate those things a lot. I really do. Because I think they're one of the stupidest looking looking guitars that I've ever laid eyes on. But every single time I pick one up, they always play and sound phenomenal. I want to hate them, but I just can't. The first video that I did about a year ago now on the great guitars that you might not know about. That was the one that gave my channel the shot in the arm that it really needed, because I hadn't had anything take off in like a year and a half at that point. And that video finally took off and kind of reinvigorated my channel for me. And one of the guitars that I discussed in that video was the Parker Nightfly Deluxe, which was a neck through model and a killer guitar. I'd actually really like to have one. I don't know where the hell I'd put it because I can't hang them on the wall because of that stupid headstock. But man, it's a great guitar. Pardon me. Brandon C says, blessed to have an original issue Crank Crankenstein half stack and Crank Revolution 212 combo. Amazing amps. I gave 700 for each of them. Those are cool. I worked with a guy when I was at Guitar Center. A buddy of mine there, he had, the cranks hadn't been out for too long at that point. He owned and he was a Dimebag fanatic, but he didn't like the Crankensteins that much, but he had a Rev 1 Plus, and that was a ripping amplifier. I don't know if he still got it or not. I'll have to ask him, see if he wants to sell it. Yeah. Hell of one. That was one of the loud. That was a loud amp too. Those things were loud as hell. Jack Bird's here. Deke 441. Jeff 7 has joined the soiree. What do you think of Reverend guitars? They showed up a couple new ones yesterday, looking good. They're not. I've never been able to get into them. I mean, they're kind of geared more towards the. I don't even know what you might call that genre, but they're. I'm more into rock and metal guitars, and they're a little bit more like, I don't want to say traditional, but like vintage-esque kind of. They've just never attracted me. I've played some of them; they're okay, but they don't make guitars in the U.S. anymore. Is my understanding. I think everything they make now is all imports. So. But I mean, they're just not for me. I don't have anything bad to say about them. They're just not for me. Don B says I live in a small town, 200 miles one way to a decent guitar store. Wow, that's a lot of guitar shopping online. Unless you're willing to get in the 200 miles, that's what 3-4 hours. I'm guessing. Epic Esquire says, "Have you ever used the JHS Color Box? They're releasing version 2 in a couple of weeks, and it looks really nice, supposed to mimic a Neve console." I have not actually. I think I know the pedal that you're talking about. Um, I know the pedal that you're talking about, and that's I think it's one of their bigger pedals, I believe. I've not played it, you know. Um, but that said, I mean, I don't know if there's a bigger pedal geek on the planet than Josh Scott. So he's, they come out with some pretty cool stuff, man. JHS pedals are pretty neat, and I love his channel. I love his YouTube channel, man. His content's fantastic. I've learned a lot from him, actually. So I've never been a big JHS pedal guy. I don't know. Matter of fact, I don't own any. I remember reaching out to him when I first started my channel, and I had like no audience, so they weren't exactly willing to work with me, but maybe I'll try again one day. Robert, have you played a JVM? What's your thoughts? JVM's actually one of my favorite Marshalls. I like the 210 the best. Which is the 2-channel version. It's for me and my purposes, that's plenty. The 410, because each channel has 3 modes on it, and then there's 2 different overall. I mean, I think if I remember right, there's if you own the 410, it's like the equivalent of like 14 channel amp or something like that. If you want to set it up that way, which don't ask me what I would do with that many. So I mean, the 210 was fine for me. I really like the red channel, the high gain channel, the best. Especially when I was like 10 years ago, when I was really cranking out high gain tones everywhere that I went, everywhere that I could. Now, I don't tend to play with that much gain anymore. But yeah, no, JVMs are awesome. JVMs are fantastic amps. It's one of my favorite Marshalls. They got that one right. I think they discontinued the TSLs, the triple super leads, in the early mid 2000s, and then they replaced them with the JVM series. Do you use SonarWorks or Multimedia Arc for studio monitor calibration? I do not. I probably should, but I don't. I do. I mean, all the mixing and and most of the recording and stuff that I do sitting here at this desk. The truth is, this desk is in a corner of my loft with a hardwood floor and the stairway right behind me, and because it's the only place in the house that there's any room for it. So, I can't, I don't want to go and treat the walls and stuff. This is also my sports room. This is where I watch football and, do all that kind of stuff. So, I actually mix on headphones probably more often than I should, but, the next house is going to have a dedicated recording area that I'll be able to, treat the walls with and stuff like that. And, when we first bought this house and moved in, I just had a bunch of guitars, and guitar gear. I had no idea that, it was going to evolve into what I'm doing now. And, so just getting everything organized in that room was all that I was concerned about, fitting a studio desk in and treating the room and all that kind of stuff. was never, never even a thought in my mind until long after it was, that room was too late and, or too full to do anything with to that extreme. And this desk is huge. I'm not sure I'd be able to get it back there anyway. So when we buy the next house, when we sell this one and buy the next house, that house is going to have a little bit better recording environment. What do you think of the Mooer speaker and amp sim pedal? What would be a good sim for renting pedals? At a reasonable price. If you're talking about the Mooer Radar, I've got one sitting on the shelf right above me, actually. I like it. I like that pedal quite a bit. The Digitech cab driver is also excellent. I've done demos on both of those here about a year ago. So if you go back and watch them, though, don't make fun of me because the Mooer the Mooer Radar, I think that was my first full track demo that I recorded and mixed at this desk, and I've gone back and listened to it a few times, just to see how far I may have come here in the last year or so, and it doesn't sound very good, but as far as the pedal itself goes, I do like the pedal. The only thing I don't like about it, though, I can't figure it out. It's clipping the front end of that thing because it's got this red light thing that'll tell you when it's clipping. It does need a better mic pre. It does need a better preamp on the front end of it, or preamp input rather. Because I had to turn volumes down to almost dead silent just to get that red light to stop flashing at me, so that it wasn't clipping as it was going into the interface. So you can go that route. If you're just looking for a good cab sim, if you're looking for multiple cabs, I would say go with that or go with the Digitech cab driver. The Mooer Radar has more cabs, but the cab driver is, I think, number one, it's easier to use, and seems to have a little bit more headroom on the front end input portion of it. Those both sound good. Or go get a 2 notes, something 2 notes. A captor, you can get a captor for about $250 right now. The Captor X just came out, which has got cabs on top of cabs on top of it. The Captor actually, has one guitar cab sim and one bass cab sim, but they both sound really, really good. So, and that's also, also serves as a load box and attenuator and all that stuff. 2 note stuff is awesome. Which headphones? Beyerdynamic DT990s. Open back. I like them. I like them a lot, actually. They're comfortable. And open back headphones, if my wife's yelling at me from downstairs or something, I can hear her with open back headphones and stop what I'm doing. They sound good. So I like them a lot. Speaking of my wife, she actually got me those for Christmas a couple years ago. Ambrose is here, says, "What up, Rob? Who's Rob?" Epic Esquire is off to a dentist appointment. Ooh. Good luck, man. Dentist appointments aren't as bad as they used to be. That technology's come a long way, too. It's not like, pure torture from the minute you get into their chair nowadays. Chris Cheney's here. Cheers from the roughest part of Indianapolis, Tuxedo Park. Don B says, I have a Seriatone overdrive pedal, and I really like it. Have you ever tried one? Or their amps? Their amps I'm very familiar with. I didn't know Seriatone made pedals, but their Seriatone amplifiers are awesome. They have a JCM 800 clone that is, I don't know how they're able to get away with. I have no idea how they're able to get away with building that thing. I mean, it's literally a JCM 800 built to spec, and they even call it the JCM 800. So I have no idea how they're able to get away with it, but yeah, Seriatone amps are awesome, man. They are killer. You can buy them pre-made, or you can buy the kits. I think you can still buy the kits where they send you everything and you solder them and build it yourself. If you're into that kind of thing, that's like total torture. To me, I have no interest in that. Great GT 3500 head. Sounds amazing. I meant to say, have you ever tried one? Oh yeah, I've played plenty of crate heads in my life. I like crate amps. I'm not one of the cork sniffers that bitch and moan that crate amps sound terrible. They're never gonna get that out of me. I mean, the crate combo amps were the Line 6 of my generation, so that's what I grew up with, and that was one of the distortion tones that kids like me were chasing after, because that's what was available, and that's what we could afford. I can see what's in the jar, but what's in the mug? Coffee. Donut Shop Coconut Mocha, which is my favorite coffee. Alex2112 says, Robert, love your channel. Watch you every time you're on live. Know your troll. Do you still work at Guitar Center? If you are referring to the, when I worked at the store, no. I left the store in 2014. Left the store in 2014, but left on very, very grateful. That was a good experience. It was time for me to move on to do something else. But it was that was working there as a manager was a very, very good experience for me. One I will always remember fondly and be very grateful for. I learned a lot doing that. It's also where I learned to get good at my current job. Don B says, I use the DT 1990 headphone from Beyerdynamic. Say that 5 times fast. Most comfortable headphones I've ever owned. I don't think I've ever. Yeah, I agree. All Beyerdynamic headphones are the most comfortable on the planet. Don't even feel like you're wearing them. I sat here in this chair at this desk for easily 4 hours last night, mixing a track and editing a video with those headphones on my head the whole time, and didn't get tiresome at all. And I do that with those all the time. I'm gonna have a tough time buying any other brand of headphone other than Beyerdynamic probably for the rest of my life. So I'm hoping the next pair I get, I hope I do get to step up to the 1990s. GoopTuber, know your troll makes me roll. Last week's Know Your Troll video I thought was a particularly good one and troll packed video. I'm glad you guys get a kick out of those. I do get every single time I put one of those up. There was somebody always, oh, don't let the trolls get to you, man. And I while I appreciate it, I assure you they don't get to me at all. They don't get to me at all. I just, if you're that stupid, you deserve to be put on blast so the world knows that you're that stupid. I maybe that should be somebody else's responsibility to do that, but I just can't help myself. So, I'm sorry. My current go-to amp, Crate V32 with Marshall Vertical 212. You could do a lot worse. V32, that was like one of their last tube heads, I believe. V32 was the Palomino. That was one of the earlier tube heads. I think. I may have that backwards. There's a couple different generations of those V series Crate tube heads, but they all sounded pretty good. Chris Cheney says, what do you think of the Marshall DSL-40? The best DSLs are always going to be the JCM 2000 series that were still made in the UK. The series that replaced them, that were made in China or Vietnam or wherever they came from right after that, were okay. They discontinued those, and the DSL-40 is the model out of the current line, and the new ones sound fantastic. They do sound really, really good. I've sold several of them, and I know lots of people who own them, including including Jim Woodard from the Practical Guitarist podcast, good buddy of mine. He plays through a DSL-40 at gigs quite a bit, and he and lots of other people love them, man. They sound great. They sound great. Hats off to Marshall for the improvement they made in that line. Deke441 says, would buy a nice used crate if I had room for it. I keep telling myself that same thing about the Blue Voodoo. I'd love to own a Blue Voodoo again, but I just had another 100-watt head show up here last week that I don't know I'm not sure what the hell I'm going to do with, as far as where I'm going to put it. I'll figure something out, but Cole Shining says, hey, Robert, I'm a new subscriber. Thanks, man. Welcome to you. Welcome to the family. I hope you have enjoyed the content thus far. We just kind of hang out here and talk gear and whatever else comes to mind here on Saturday afternoons, afternoon my part of the world anyway. So whatever else comes to mind, except politics. No politics anywhere near this channel whatsoever. If you post, it drives me crazy when I post a video about guitar stuff and then somebody has to go and throw their damn politics in with their opinion. Half the time I usually try to give people the opportunity to delete it themselves, but if they don't, I am happy to do so. I don't want politics anywhere near this channel. But beyond that, we talk about all kinds of crazy stuff here on Saturdays. Most of it's guitar gear related, but occasionally we'll talk sports and patio furniture and trolls and who knows what else. William Cooper says, RGD, hope all is well. I will be emailing you in a few days about the pedal. Awesome, man. I'll look forward to hearing from you. Possibly the greatest troll video ever. Well, if you enjoyed the Know Your Troll video from last week, I think you're probably going to enjoy the video that goes up tomorrow, which is liable to... I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to spoil it. Christopher Morrow is out of here. See you, dude. Says it's not easy being your own boss. No, it's not. Park Kingery says, any Spark owners in here? Not me, but you already know that. Luis Silva says, basketball is back next week. Can't wait. Finally got something. You know, I'm still keeping my fingers crossed that the NFL starts when it's supposed to. I'll be honest with you, I almost hope that they just forego preseason altogether and make all their team evaluations and practice and stuff like that at camp. I mean, preseason's for the teams, and anyway, it's not for the preseason. NFL is the most boring football on the planet. Except for week 3 when the starters usually play the first half, and then once they all get yanked out, then it's no thanks. But so I don't know what they're talking about doing, but I mean, if you are new to this channel. Or if you're not new to this channel, you probably know that I am a diehard Indianapolis Colts fan. And, when football season starts, I do everything that I get all of my YouTube responsibilities and stuff done and out of the way by Saturday evening at the latest so that I can do nothing but watch football on Sundays. And I live for watching football on Sundays. This room that I am in is really designed for watching football on Sundays. So I'm really, really keeping my fingers crossed if that the NFL is able to start back up. Not at the expense of anybody's health. I certainly don't want them to play football for my strictly for my own convenience and enjoyment. I don't want anybody getting sick or getting hurt or anything. But I mean, I would rather everybody stay healthy and not have football if that's what it comes down to. But I love football. I love the NFL. Ooh. Sean Wise, Cubs fan 1. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. What early Judas Priest album do you think has the best guitar tone? I love the tone on Stained Glass. Cheers from the Windy City. Ooh, well, man, it kind of depends on what you would consider early Judas Priest. If you're talking, the best Judas Priest guitar tone album was Painkiller, no question, in my opinion, anyway. Painkiller was great. British Steel was great. British Steel sounded killer, man. Kind of had some, kind of had some fat chugs in there, on some songs. Had some chainsaw type tones in there, like like on Grinder and stuff like that. Ooh. And which album was You Got Another Thing Coming On? Was that Ram It Down? No. I can't remember. But yeah, anything, I would say pretty much anything, for me anyway, anything from like British Steel on, like the real, the albums earlier than that, like back into the 70s. Um, Guitar tones were okay, but the technology of the guitar and amp world hadn't quite evolved to where it was in the early 80s. And it was cranked up Marshalls or bust, and you either captured them well or you didn't. And some of those records, it's like kind of like some of the earlier Kiss records. Ace's tone. Like the first couple of albums, the guitar tone was, meh. I would. It's not what I would want my guitar to sound like today. Not taking anything away from Ace Frehley or KK Downing or Glenn Tipton or any of those guys back in those days as far as guitar players. They're all absolutely phenomenal guitar players, but they didn't have the technology available to them then that they did 10 years later. Hey, Jeff Seven says preseason football nothing counts but the injuries. Diehard Colts fan here too. Awesome, dude. I didn't know you were a Colts fan. Sweet. Hey, thanks again for the super chat, by the way. Sean Y is Cubs fan 1. Thank you very much. But yeah, Jeff Seven's a Colts fan. Awesome, dude. I didn't know that. I was crushed last year, when Andrew retired suddenly. Absolutely crushed. I mean, I get it, and actually, his wife, has her hair done by, she goes to my wife's salon, so my wife's boss knows his wife, and and has met, my wife has met Andrew's wife a few times, and apparently he is really, really happy, after since he retired. So, which, if that's, which I'm happy for him. I certainly wouldn't expect him to keep playing, and be miserable. But I wish that hadn't happened, because as awesome as, with as much as Patrick Mahomes, is turning into the stud that he is. If Andrew, I have a theory, and you will never convince me otherwise. If Andrew Luck were still playing, and had he not retired, we would be in the middle of the modern day Peyton Manning, Tom Brady rivalry, right here in the middle of it. Wow. There's this dude here named Ripper Liver that is trolling the thread right now. YouTube has blocked all of his comments from hitting the thread. I'm the only one that can see them. Because they're full of F-bombs and all of them cussing me out. Wow. This dude's got a lot of time on his hands. All right. We'll share your comments with the rest of the feed, the rest of the folks here, right before we hit the old blockarooski. So if you guys are able to click on Ripper Liver's channel, feel free to go troll. But yep, I'm disappointed that we didn't get our we don't have our our huge quarterback rivalry going on because that would have been awesome. Andrew and Patrick Mahomes are the two best quarterbacks in the game. Who's better? And I mean, that's what made the Manning Brady rivalry so much fun. As they were the two best quarterbacks in the game. I still say Manning was better, but William Cooper says, "Go Pack." Serenity Guitars is stuck at the dealership today. I'm assuming you mean the car dealership. Man, why can we not just get in and out of those places, man? You just like anywhere else, man. If I need to go, to the store and buy a pound of ground beef, I can go and get in and out of there in about 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how big the store is. If I can have cash in hand, walk into a dealership and say I want that car, and it's got to take 2.5 hours. I hate buying cars. I can even produce my legal license to drive them. It's still got to take 2.5 hours. Screaming for Vengeance. Deke441 says, so Painkiller tour in L.A. Wow. That was 90 or 91. I was old enough, but barely. We had been living in Indiana about a year by then. There's no way my parents would have let me out of the house to go to a Judas Priest concert. My mom, because she was too protective of me, my dad, because he was, a little more. My dad was a little too conservative and didn't understand the music that I was into. But now that I'm a little older and I see some of the crap that's out now, I think I'm starting to get it. So. Raw tone of Unleashed in the East. GoopTuber, favorite fuzz pedal. Well, favorite one to make fun of is the Fuzz Factory, no question. I'm not gonna stop making fun of it. I'm just not. Nope, not after Zvex trolled. Well, I guess technically I trolled him first, but. Have you tried random eBay or Amazon pickups? No, I mean they're those import Chinese made pickups. I mean they're I don't know, they all come out of the same factory, but I mean they're pretty much all the same. I know a lot of people seem to love the Dragonfires, which are the import active EMG clones, and I've never. All the ones I've heard I thought sounded terrible. So I've heard a couple of the GFS passive pickups that sounded pretty good, and there was a period there I was kicking around buying a couple of those for a guitar that I never got around to it, but I just they're I don't want American made pickups are so so cheap nowadays. I mean they're not cheap, but I mean you can get some really really good sounding DiMarzios or Duncans for 60, 70, $80 a piece. That's not that bad. So I can't spending $30 or $40 on a Chinese pickup to sound nope. It says by early, I mean the first 6 albums from rock roll to British Steel. Those first 6 albums, I would have said, definitely British Steel. It was British Steel for me. That was a groundbreaking album for the entire world. I mean that album sold a gazillion copies the year that it came out, and it's gone on to be one of the legendary metal albums of all time. Umberto says Painkiller was a shock for me. Glenn Tipton on steroids. Both of those guys, man, KK and Glenn, both sweet picks. Sweet picking solos, and I mean, I mean, it was, the title track of that. I mean, it was a shred fest on its own. I mean, they could have just extended that entire song out to 40 or 50 minutes or however long the album was, and I would have been happy with that. That's one of my all-time favorite, not just Judas Priest songs, but that's one of my all-time favorite shred songs. Painkiller's awesome, man. If that doesn't earn you a couple of speeding tickets, nothing will. Pony Ride says, any love for the DoD Overdrive Preamp 250? Plenty of drive options, but always go back to the 250. Yeah, I like the the DoD 250, man. I've never owned one, to be honest with you, but I mean that's you got that group of like legendary classic pedals from that era, like the MXR Distortion, the Boss DS1, the Boss SD1, the Tube Screamer, you've got that specific class of pedals, and the DoD 250 is absolutely in there. And is right up with all of those, but unfortunately, that's the one that everybody seems to forget about, and nobody seems to mention in that same conversation. So, yeah, no, I think it's a great overdrive pedal. Yngwie Malmsteen's used one for decades now. So, no, yeah, killer. Like I said, I've never owned one. I'm on a Boss pedal kick right now. I'm trying to snatch up a bunch of different Boss dirt pedals, and I did a video on one. You guys are gonna see a bunch of Boss stuff coming from me here coming up in the next few weeks, by the way. But I did a video on a Boss pedal that you guys haven't seen yet. You guys won't see it for another week or so. It kind of triggered another idea that I have coming up, and I'm working directly with Boss, to try to get done. I don't know if it's going to happen or not yet, but I'm kind of on a Boss kick, and if this turns out to take off and you guys enjoy what I'm doing after you guys see it all, maybe I'll redirect and do the same thing with DoD and Digitech stuff. So we'll see. TND Fam is here. Welcome, sir. Hope you're doing well. William De Silva says it's probably the same dude from earlier using a dummy account. The first one was probably a dummy account as well. I actually searched for both of those troll accounts directly, and neither one of them popped up. So I don't know how that works, but it seems to be the case. So I keep up. YouTube won't let me click on the profile anymore like it used to, because what I want to do is just click and share the link to their channel, and put them on blast. But I guess YouTube thought of that in advance. Oh well, that's what the block button's for. Doc Amos Roxy's here. Park King, go Bears. We're not friends anymore. Kidding. Sean is Cubs fan 1. Send another super chat. Thank you, sir. That one totally snuck by me. My apologies. You like greenbacks for metal instead of vintage 30s? Oh, man. Depends on the cab they're in. It just depends on the cab that they're in, dude. Vintage 30s are definitely the more popular choice, I think, because they're real heavy in the lower mid-range. Like the orange PPC 412s. Vintage 30s, absolutely the right speaker for that cabinet. Marshall 412s, and I know that the 1960 AV and BV cabs, their vintage 30 cabs are really, really popular. But for some, I like the GT, the 75 watt speakers, and their 412s better for some reason. And I just always have, more, I guess because the higher wattage gives you a little bit more headroom. So, they don't break up quite as early. Greenbacks I've kind of had a love-hate relationship with, and again, that depends on not partially on the cab that they're in and partially the amp that you're running through them, because, those things are, depending if you're talking 25 watt greenbacks or 30 watt greenbacks, whatever it may be, a lot of those, they break up a lot earlier than vintage 30s or, you know, T75s, so if you're not careful, they can get away from you. Um, but if you don't run too much, if you run just the right amount of gain into them, a la Eddie Van Halen, they sound killer. So, they're a little, greenbacks seem to be a little more temperamental in my experience. So, but as far as which ones I like better, if I were to choose one over the other, I'd probably go vintage 30s. So, pardon me. Coop Timber says, "Go Jets." I'm a glutton for punishment. Give Jets fans credit, man. Jets fans and Browns fans, man. You guys are loyal to the bitter end. Hey, Ripper Liver's back. Maybe that's just a straggler comment from. Yeah, that's all that is. Never mind. Mm. Chris Cheney says, "Yeah, I'm running a David Gilmour EMG through the new DSL 40 and out of this world. Good for price. It's crazy sounding good." Yep. Yeah, like I said, man, those DSLs, the new DSL series, they got it right. Robert, I was thinking about getting the Rowan Holy War Rowan Plexion pedals. The demos I heard sound great, and they sell for $32 a piece on Amazon. The Holy War has the Rest in Peace guitar tone. Yeah, I've seen them. Those, the Rowans, the Moors, all those, there's a bunch of those. Every time you turn around, there's a new Chinese pedal brand that's, cranking out pedals and putting them on Amazon for cheap. I don't know if they're all coming out of the same factory or not. A lot of them seem like they might be. But most of the ones I've tried actually sound pretty good. There's been a couple of them that I've tried that I thought sucked, but the majority of them seem to be pretty good pedals. Some of them I really like the Outlaw Effects. I've plugged those on my channel quite a bit before. Demoed a couple of them. William Silva says, "Got a set of Seymour Duncan hot rodded set for 140 bones." Yeah, exactly. That's the Duncan, that's the JB and the Jazz set, which is my all-time favorite pickup set. $140 for two pickups, $70 a piece. How can you beat that? I think I paid about 100. I think I paid like 170 or 180 for my set of blackouts. Which are active Duncan pickups that I put in a BC Rich that I have. And I like them better than EMGs. So. Anarcho Lutherist says, "Any recommends for a set of decent budget American-made tele pickups?" I'm unfortunately no. I'm probably the wrong guy to ask. I know some of the Fender branded tele pickups and stuff just from selling them for as long as I have. But realistically, I'm not a tele guy. I'm not a tele guy, and they're just not my thing. American-made tele pick. I'd go Seymour Duncan or DiMarzio, one of the two. So, like the Duncan SS was the SSL ones. I think they've got a tele set 4. That is at least at least get you the ballpark and get you a good sound of pickups. Whether or not it's the sound that you're looking for, I don't know, but Seymour Duncan's never let me down. Doc Amos Roxy says somehow received a quote unquote cheap pedal from Amazon that I didn't order on purpose. Okay. It arrives, WTF, plugged into my DSL-20 high gain channel with this mystery pedal, and bam, Iommi tone. Okay, cool. Umberto says I bought a couple Epiphone Pro Buckers on AliExpress, and they're okay to me replacing Wilkinson's. Import pickups to replace Wilkinson's? Okay. The Epiphone Pro Buckers, though, if they were actual, I doubt that they're authentic Epiphone Pro Buckers on AliExpress. But the actual, the Epiphone, the Pro Buckers the Epiphone puts in their guitars are basically its import version of the Burst Bucker pickups. Jay Bird Shred says, what's the best MIJ guitar brand? I really like my MIJ Jackson, and I'm thinking about Real, ESP, and any others I should look at. Oh, man. Comparison. Probably be my first suggestion. Comparison. I mean, you mentioned most of the others I would think of, made in Japan. Jackson. I don't think there's any of the Charvel brand guitars being made over there right now. But, Jackson, if there's any MIJ Fenders, and Ibanez, the high-end Ibanez's are still made in Japan. Especially the J-Craft stuff if you really want to spend some money. Chris Cheney, see you, buddy. Have a great rest of your day. Hey, Ripper, I was wrong. Ripper Liver is back. Must have created a new account because this one's got a different color. Says, I will shut your channel down, you loser. Whatever you say, dude. Yeah. I blocked the first 2 accounts that you made. You can do it again. Mad Matt says, hi from the UK. Greetings, sir, from the US. How are you? Hope you're doing good on this lovely, beautiful. I think it's still nice outside, isn't it? Yeah. Yep, Saturday afternoon. Jack Bird says, I'm sorry if I missed the answer about Speaker Sim and Amp Sim. Got disconnected. If you can run that by me again. We were talking about it earlier. Somebody asked me my thoughts on like the Mooer, the Mooer radar, and I also suggested the cab driver, the Digitech cab driver, and particularly the 2-Notes stuff. Like the 2-Notes captor, which I use. Matter of fact, I just used it for a video this week. It's an onboard cab sim as opposed to a digital. Kind of like the other stuff. It's got one onboard guitar cab, and one bass cab, and that's all it's got, but they both sound really, really good. And the other cool thing that I didn't mention earlier about the 2-Note stuff, if you buy any of their stuff, they come with 16 virtual cabs from their wall of sound. So, and it's like $250. And it's also a load box and an attenuator. Yeah, I've had a lot of gear show up here lately. I've uh, mostly stuff for my own enjoyment, but stuff I also plan to demo. I plan to demo all of it for you guys here at some point. But I got a fair amount on my plate. I need to sell some stuff because I'm running out of places to put some of this stuff. Ricky Compton has joined the party. Welcome to you. DMR Productions feature Ripper Liver on Know Your Troll. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, when people are clearly trolling just so they can get on, they can wind up on a Know Your Troll video, that's no fun, you know. We want legitimate trolls on this channel. Not a liver, that's a spleen. If I was looking for a Japanese Les Paul, my choice would be Tokai or Bernie, maybe Fernandez. Bernie for me, man, no question. I love the Bernies. It's the old Bernies anyway. Bernie now, they're still around, but now I think they're actually owned by Fernandez. So. Ricky Compton says picked up a Wolfgang Stealth Special with ebony fretboard Mexican one. Those are cool guitars. Those are cool guitars. I like the EVH stuff. I like the old PV Wolfgangs too. Those are they're getting harder and harder to find now, but whether you love Eddie Van Halen or you hate him, the dude sure knows what he's doing when it comes to designing guitars and amps. Doc Amos Roxy told me to check out the Twin Note or Twinote or says either Pi or PTT. No, can't read, too old. Just awesome tone through DSL gain. Liver obviously has his computer in his parents' basement. All right, fellas. I got a split. I have to run a guitar down to one Sir Techie Tony for some repair work, wiring issues, and he's only going to be in the shop for a few more hours. So he said he would fit me in, so I need to get down there while he's still there. looks like someone should come up with a troll blocker pedal. I'm unfortunately I'm not a pedal designer, so I do got something up my sleeve for the next Know Your Troll video though. So hopefully you guys will. If it happens, there's nothing set in stone yet, but if it happens, I hope you guys will enjoy it. So, anyway, so I got to split. I got to go get a guitar fixed up so that I can, quite honestly, so I can show it to you guys. Yep. So, those of you that that came to hang out today, thank you very much for coming to hang out. Special thanks to those of you that contributed to the super chat. Very, very much appreciated, especially in these times that we're in. And adios. Stay safe, everybody.